Yo, what's up guys, new video, and we're looking at GB12. But before we get into this video, please like the video, hit that subscribe button, trying to hit 50k this year, getting closer. It's just start of the year. GB12, why am I looking at a GB12 that's 26.9 seconds right now? Because this team is interesting. A friend of mine actually sent me a screenshot, sent me the team, and I was like, yo, interesting team. I'm like, yo, this is actually an interesting team. By all means, it's not going to be the fastest team out there. That team, I will actually link a video to in the description down below. Check out that video if you want to go the absolute fastest team. But that actually needs a LD4, Deborah. Or you need to go make 3 crows. The interesting thing about this team is you probably have these units already. Everyone and their mom already has 2 Ikaros because you made 3 Ikaros. Everyone and their mom most likely already made a crow. And the thing is, for the team with the Deborah, or if you replace it by like an Argon or a 3rd crow, you have to build multiple crows probably. You probably don't have 2 or 3 crows. Do you actually want to build 2 or 3 crows just for Giants B12? Probably not really. But with this team, you don't have to. And the idea is still kind of the same thing. The idea is pretty simple. Lucian, preferably 120 speed, one-shotting the wave. If you can't, not that big of a deal. It is more of a big deal because in the other teams, your team is more likely to fail. Even in the Belial team, your team is more likely to fail. In this team, because of Amelia in there, she can save it by just dots and that kind of stuff. Then we have an Ikaru for team-ups. You want to be faster than 169 combat speed, and you want to have 55 accuracy. In this case, I'm overstacking accuracy because you want 55 accuracy after your accuracy as one that you might drop on your right side artifact. I also have the shield set in there, which is not needed. Maybe you cannot get fight sets in that. Then just go for your normal Ikaros. I'm actually, in this team, I didn't go all out. Because if I go all out, this Lucian is pretty good. But this artifact doesn't make any sense for this team that I'm running right now. This Ikaru doesn't make all too much sense except for the fight sets. But the accuracy is too much. I could have added more damage to this one. The second Ikaru, I'm actually using this accuracy set, which is pretty useful. But therefore, both Ikarus are actually overstacking on the 55 accuracy, which is not really needed. But an accuracy set on this team is pretty interesting. Because, as you guys all know, a Crow on the S3 does more damage the moment there's more debuffs. So even Lucian can, in this case, land a debuff on the S1 or the S2, and therefore help the Crow do more damage. So therefore, having accuracy sets in this team is actually pretty interesting. Then my crow, it's not my highest damage crow. Actually, this is the crow that I used in the previous video that's linked down below for the triple crow one. This is my second crow of that. This crow has higher accuracy. So this is by far not the best crow I can make for damage. That's also just something I want to showcase. In this case, it does have pretty good artifacts here, and it does almost stack out 55 accuracy. You kind of want 55 accuracy on the crow as well, because crow will team up with the other units, and therefore also land a higher chance of armor breaks. This ends up at 90% with skill ups, if I'm not mistaken. Don't add me if it's not that way, but I think it adds up to 90% with skill ups. We'll check that in a second. So, and then Crow actually has very good AI for going for the S3, and therefore will do that hit. Melia in this case, you probably have a Melia. A max scaled Melia is probably better for this, I would say. Max scaling Melias is not an issue, also not for your SF team. Some people say it's worse for your SF team. Don't think it's that big of an issue, just make them more tanky. But in this case, I went a Melia that has no speeds, and I wanted to make it no speed for the reason that her S1 absorbs attack bar. And to make this team fast as possible, you have to make your Melia move less, so your Melia's not even moving on the boss. You could say like, okay, I'm lacking damage, and therefore I'm not one-shotting the boss every time with the Crow, because you're not doing enough damage, there's not enough debuffs, and therefore you want to have the Melia moving in between. Then there's an option would slightly slow down your run, but then you would have to make it just move before the Crow, which is pretty feasible as well. So easiest setup, I would say, just place her just before the Crow, and she will probably move after the second Ikaru, and you'll be like, hey, why does it work like that? That is simply because of the absorb. So okay, let's continue. Let's see how this run actually works. So as we can go over here, if it goes for an S2, of course it's slower, as a ref will be better, but it's still pretty fine. Yay, that's where you go, amputation magic. Issue is, however, if I'm not mistaken, no, they still do team up, so that's actually fine. So we have that cleared up pretty easily. Then we go for here, we don't do anything again. Thank you, Lucian. I'm trying to showcase shit over here. Freaking Lucian. So yeah, in that case, the run is of course a whole bunch slower, but you could in fact also put shield sets on Melia to make this a lot safer and those kind of things. There's just a lot more safe potentials on this team. So as you can see here, a whole bunch of team ups, enough debuffs, Crow one-shots the boss. So technically, fastest run possible on this team is about 20 seconds, 0.8, like 20.8. Slowest is probably around this. If he screws up in both wave 1 and wave 3, that is probably where you get around like the 40-second teams. Big question is then, what does the average stand like this team comparing to the other teams that I've showcased? For example, the Belial team, triple Belial with Illusion, and then the Crow, and then everything. In this case, I will do slightly too little damage. And you could choose, therefore, to say like, okay, I want to move the Melia before, or just leave it like this, because it's still pretty fast run, 25 seconds, which is not bad at all. So, or just have a better Crow in the first place. So that is pretty much that. Thing is, because it's for some people harder to get the illusion to the 120 speed and then still one-shot the waves, this team is more forgiven for it, because if your illusion doesn't one-shot or if your illusion is slower and Melia pushes back the units because she has the potential to go for an S2 and therefore push back your units, it is actually possible to still have Lucian move a second time without Lucian being as fast as possible, or at the 120 speed. So you still want a speedy Lucian. You don't want to go a Lucian that's just over the speed of the other ones, but it's more forgiven for that reason. So for that, that's something to just keep in mind, that this is probably the easiest team to build for a fast run. So of course, it's maybe easier to build your team with the just the Dada set Tatu. That's by definition the easiest to build, but that one can run up to I don't know how many seconds. That one can actually be pretty slow. This team is a lot faster than that, like hell a lot faster than that. But let's look at the numbers, how fast it actually is. So first of all, let's look at the other teams. The Belial Trikaru team, it was a 26.6 second average team for me on the fastest possible way that I could run it. The team that I showcased later, which is in the video down below, I also link in the Belial team as well. But the team with the Deborah is 23.3 second average. Would you add a third Crow? It's about like 1 or 2 second extra. So if this current Tukaru Crow Melia team, let's call it this way, Tukaru Croila Lia team, yeah, no, that's rolls off the tongue very easy. If this would be around 26 seconds, maybe 27 seconds, we look at a very good team. If it's like 28, 29, it's still a doable good team. If it's like 30 plus, then we're like, not sure if this is worth it that much, because the other two teams are just that much faster. Still, keep in mind, it's probably the easiest team to run. Same as last time, how I showcased of how I track all of the numbers, because I've been running this team for quite a while. Let me get my little program. So this is my little program of a thing that I created long back already. It's kind of hard to read in how it's kind of set up. But this is what I use the summons war exporter to actually export all of the data for all of the runs, and we can see what kind of runs it's been running. And we can see that it's been running on like specific times, like every time. We had some like higher runs of like 53 seconds, so these are milliseconds, so they're not like 53,000 seconds, not 53,000 milliseconds. And we go all the way down, all the way down, all the way down, because we did a lot of runs while we were actually checking and testing this. All the way down, even more runs, more runs, more runs. And I probably have to push this up slightly for you guys until we're all the way at the bottom. And at the bottom, I showcase first, how many runs did I totally do? How many seconds was that? And then what is the average? So we're looking at a 28.3 second average. That is legit not bad. That is like I was saying, like if we get somewhere around like 26, 27, it's very good. But if we get a 28.3 second average, that's actually pretty legit. And I literally think that a lot of people can make this team. So to quickly go over the runes and artifacts once more, in case it was not that clear on the first time that I showed it, because I think I went over it somewhat quickly. So the Lucian, you want to aim for that 120 speed, so the Lucian moves twice before the waves. It gives him a lot more chances to go for the amputation magic. If you can't get there and still clear the waves, just go for somewhat lower. Left side artifact, do not go for damage on water like I do. The thing you want to hit here is additional damage from attack and crit damage good and crit damage bad. That's what you want to aim for. Right side artifact, crit damage skill 3, crit damage attack, crit damage good. First Ikaru, add in fight sets where possible, add in accuracy sets where possible, and then left side you probably want to do damage by defense. That's probably the easiest way to add extra damage from him. Unless he has a lot of attack or crit rate, you can actually add more stats in that. Right side you probably want to aim for the accuracy as 1 because Ikarus have to end up at 55 accuracy. That's the best. Second Ikaru, same thing as the first Ikaru. Accuracy as 1, but also don't stack it over 55. You don't need more accuracy than 55. Crow, you want to do damage on water. That's probably the most important thing there is, and that's a crit damage good, crit damage bad, probably. You want to outspeed the 196 combat base speed, which this is slightly over. I think you need like a plus 45 and you're already there, but that's something you can check in the optimizer. This you just want to go for crit damage skill 3. It's not the best of crit damage skill 3. It's also crit damage own skill, so it kind of adds up. It's like a 23. But the accuracy S1, in this case, with the accuracy set that they have, makes him 50 accuracy. So you slightly want more accuracy to actually have your S1s also land armor break and your continuous damage. In this case, you could choose Melia either 0 speed or you choose Melia to just move before your Crow. You want to have 100 accuracy, and then all of the other stats actually don't really matter. Just make her tanky, so in case your run goes completely sideways, she can survive. You can say like, oh, I want to make my Melia more damage. I have actually no clue what her damage multipliers is, but you could get away with like a crit damage bolt on this thing as well. But I would recommend to go for like the fight sets or the accuracy sets just to make it easier for your other units to get there. And then artifacts wise, you could add more accuracy, crit rate in here. You could do more damage or damage from, damage against, something like that. I would recommend to just go tanky, damage from waters, and therefore it's just easy to clear the thing. Like if everyone dies, Melia doesn't die, Melee just starts throwing a few dots, boss still dies. Very easy. Let me check one more thing. Yeah, so one more thing that is pretty important. If you do not have a Crow that's skilled up for this team, it's not must, but it is very high recommended that the S1 is max skilled. And you kind of want to, no, the S3 actually doesn't have to be max skilled. But the S1 kind of you want to be max skilled because it has higher odds of landing that armor break to land that dot. And therefore the run is just a lot more successful because then Crow S3 is going to do more damage, etc. So guys, thanks for watching. Hope you learned a thing. Like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet, and see you in the next one.